gonna do it. I knew it.
War deep within. I can't go through it alone, and I won't leave you on your own. I stand before you now and promise you I am not afraid. I will fight and guide the way. We will rise again to glory then, soar into the sky. If you stop and see, then you just might believe.
Sup guys, my name's Runner Dragneel and welcome back to Seduce Me 2, the Demon War. So last we left off, we got to see a little bit of drunk Damien, which is really cool. And we're like, we set Saero off on a journey to prove his love to Diana, which I will root for him. And now we come to the point where we have to decide whether Damien should turn into a human or remain as a demon. Meaning he'll risk his life or he won't risk his life. And to that, since that I've been putting a lot of thought into it, and because I played this game before, I know what will happen anyway, and I've done everything. But if I did not play this and this was my first time actually doing it, I would think about what Damien wants. See, he wants to become human. He wants to take that risk. And, of course, I have to put all my worries aside and give him what makes him happy. Because his happiness comes first before mine. At least that's the kind of person I am. I like to make other people happy before my happiness. So that I will, of course, I'm going to be like, if it makes you happy, then do it. So I'll choose that one. I had to accept it. It wasn't my choice to make at all. It wasn't fair to Damien to demand that he change his mind for me. Besides, I loved him no matter what. Human or demon, he was still the man I loved. I stared into Damien's eyes as I gripped his hands and hugged them to me lovingly. I could see the pure joy in Damien's eyes as he stared down at me, tears lacing the edges. I love you no matter what you are. If you truly wish to be human, then let's do everything we can to make that happen. Before I let Damien reply, however, I brought his hands to my lips, kissing over them with a now worried expression. I was still scared. I could lose him. But please, don't you dare die on me. I can't bear to live without you. Damien nodded and leaned him. It's supposed to be leaned in. Whatever. Kissing over my forehead gingerly.
I will do everything I can to survive it.
A wave of relief washed over me from his words. Maybe he was enthralling me to calm me down, or maybe his love simply reassured me that everything would be all right. Either way, this was happening. I looked up at him and caressed his cheek, feeling him lovingly nuzzle into my palm. Then, let's tell Diana. A smile danced along Damien's lips before he wrapped his arms around me and buried his head in my shoulder. I could hear him whimper a bit in happiness as I wrapped my arms around him, pulling him close.
Thank you.
I could faintly hear the voice in my head scoff.
Wow, you're really going to let him die. How sad. I guess you'll have to prepare a funeral instead of a wedding.
Can you be quiet for once in your life? I rolled my eyes and held Damien tighter. I wouldn't listen to it anymore. I believed in our love more than anything. We would be okay. The 2 days that followed came filled with work from Diana and her group. Upon Damien's request, Diana ordered a massive search for everything needed for a transformation ritual that would normally have been used to make a human a demon. The worry of the ritual bubbled in my core, but I was going to be alright. This was something Damien and I decided, and this was going to make Damien happy. That was all that mattered in the end. Of course, the experience wouldn't have been great even without the lovely voice in my head trying to convince me otherwise. I settled that the voice was some form of worry, some sort of regret I was holding that was morphed to represent Diana, the one who placed the worry there years ago. I would beat it out as soon as Damien returned to me as a human. As the 7th day arrived, the ritual was prepared and ready for us. The others gave us their own concerns and wishes, hoping for the best regardless of what happened. We were positive that we would be okay. Entering the warm room, Diana looked over at the pair of us, nodding and stepping away from the table. On it were arranged purple and gold candles, all lit with black, but somehow illuminating flames that flickered in the air gently. It seemed mystical and shadow-like, but if this was how it was done, then it was how it was done. There was space in the center of the table for a body to lay down within the circle of candles, making it clear of what had to happen. Diana gestured to the table, looking to Damien and pointing to the large space between the arranged candles.
Lie down when you are ready.
Damien nodded before turning to me and smiling, taking my hand and kissing it.
You'll be here when it's over, right?
I nodded, smiling up at him and kissing his hand in return. I will. I promise. A smile was exchanged between us before Damien looked at Diana and walked to the table, stepping up on a block that was placed for him near the table to let him climb up with ease. As Damien settled onto the table, Diana walked over to me and took my hand, guiding me towards the table as well. Huh?
A theory. Indulge me.
As I watched as Diana guided me to a chair beside the table, letting me sit on it before Damien's and my hands collapsing them together.
This is part of the ritual?
No, but it's a theory I have that might help.
Diana closed her eyes and wrapped her hands around Damien's and mine, letting a soft purple glow emanate from them and circle around our hands.
You are human and are full of energy. If something falters, we can use your energy to rekindle it and resume the ritual.
Fear sank into my core, remembering the risks of this transformation, but at least Diana was trying to find ways to make the ritual work. It was rather thoughtful. Damien smiled at me before laying his head back and staring at the ceiling. I squeezed his hand as Diana removed her hands from our clasped ones. Purple magic continued to dance around our hands as I smiled back at Damien.
Ready?
Damien and I nodded at the same time before both of us closed our eyes. I could hear Diana step back and mutter under her breath some sort of Latin incantation I couldn't dissect. As she did, the energy around the room began to pulse and wave like an ocean in a storm. The air began to brush against my skin, causing me to look down at Damien, seeing the black fire around the candles around him intensify in their illumination. I tightened my hold onto Damien's hand and shut my eyes again, desperate and hopeful. This had to work. It had to.
It won't work.
Can you shut up? Please. In the darkness of my mind, the voice appeared, making me grimace. Leave me alone.
I'm telling the truth. It won't work. He'll die and you'll be all alone. All because you wanted to make him...
Shut up! My mental shout made the voice silence itself. I had enough of its torment, its teasing and prodding. Nothing was going to go wrong. I glared into the dark, gritting my teeth. We're going to be fine. Damien will be human and we'll leave this world for good. Nuts. Not so talkative now, are we? I took in a breath and focused myself, remaining calm and hopeful. I know what you are.
Then say it. Make me believe it.
As I stared into the dark, I could feel a small smile grace my lips. It was clear who the voice was now. You're my worries, my doubt. You are my emotions intensified and transformed into some sort of haunting being in my head. I got you! Its silence became my confirmation. I had personified my worries and my doubts, and they had become a voice in my head, trying to guide me towards the wrong choices. As I was magically inclined, it became an actual shadow that haunted my thoughts and dreams, feeding off of my fear and dread and becoming a part of me I couldn't shake off easily. However, now I could. With this transformation, I would finally destroy it. I was wrong to doubt Damien. I was wrong to doubt myself. This is what we need, and nothing is going to keep us from the goal we want to achieve. We will defeat the Demon Lord, go home, and live happy lives together as humans. I wanted to be firm. I wanted to stand strong. As I finished speaking, however, the voice simply chuckled.
But if Damien becomes a human, he'll die at the Demon Lord's hands.
Oh, Jesus, great! Another worry we have! Can you not? I gasped at memories of my nightmare flashed before my eyes. Damien was a human in the nightmare, dying by sacrificing himself for my sake. The simple realization shook my core, making me fearful once again. If Damien became human, I'd lose him anyway. My soul became heavy and racked with doubt.
There we are. You cannot win this little battle with me. Either way, you lose.
Think of Damien! I began to flood my mind with thoughts of Damien, of our love in the human world. We were so happy and joyous together, forgetting the worries of the world and simply living with each other. There was no greater love than the story I lived with him, and would continue to love him until the end of time. No! Oh no! I didn't want something to go wrong. Damien and Diana's voice ripped me from my thoughts, gasping at the sight. I became witness to upon opening my eyes. Damien's body became engulfed in the black flames from the candles, fire wrapping around his body like a cocoon of chains. Damien!
Focus your energy and save him!
I slammed my free hand into the hand I was clasping tightly, uncaring that the flames were licking at me as well. I took my hands into his hand, shutting my hands tightly. Don't leave me! Please! Fight this. Take me. We're gonna do this so fast. Take me instead! We're gonna do it like in those romance stuff. I wasn't going to let death take him. If death was taking anyone, it would be me. The flames, as if they accepted my terms, quickly began to snake off of Damien's body and up his hand to me, wrapping me in their tight embrace and burning over my skin. Gah!
No!
The flames began to encase us, blinding my nerves in endless pain and wrapping my mind in agony. In the last attempt to live, Damien sat up and wrapped his arms around me, clinging to me tightly.
I won't let you go!
I winced through the pain between us and gripped Damien in return, the flames intensifying in our embrace. I won't let go! I won't let you go either! I was in tears, hoping deep within my heart that we would live. I loved him and he loved me. We needed to survive. In a burst of white light, Damien and I were suddenly pushed from each other. Ah! The light became blinding. My body felt warm, but there was suddenly no pain. There was no fire around me, no damage done. I was just wrapped in a white light. Was I dead? But my lungs still took in air, my heart was still beating, and my skin felt warm. I was alive. Then what had happened? Slowly the light faded from the room, revealing the war room once again. I had fallen to the ground, aches rushing through my body as I looked around. What did we do? As my eyes locked onto Damien, I gasped, seeing him floating in the air with a large black orb floating in front of his body. His eyes were lifeless, but his skin was still saturated with life. Damien? Diana's voice forced me to look over, gasping as she glared hard at Damien and held out her hand at the orb in front of him. The orb began to trickle an inky black energy that danced through the air and sailed toward Diana's hand, burning into her palm and fading into her skin. She winced as the veins within her purple-tainted skin began to glow a black color, snaking through her bloodstream through her hands. As the black energy left the orb began to lighten from a pure black to a silver to finally a white. This was happening. Damien was becoming human. As the orb finally developed a pure white color, the orb floated into Damien's body and made him gasp out for air. eyes finally brimming with life. Damien! Damien fell forward, causing me to reach out and capture him in my arms. He instinctively wrapped his arms around me and toppled over, landing with me on the floor and him on top of me. Oof! Despite the pain in my body, I could feel Damien breathing, hear his heart beating, see his eyes as they looked down at me in complete shock and disbelief. I felt surprise run through my own mind and emotions. We did it. We had done it. I lifted a weak arm and cupped Damien's cheek, seeing him take everything in. Damien? Are you okay? I was sure he was lost on what to say. I was as well. I felt tears gather in my eyes as I wrapped my arms around him and hugged him tightly. You're alive. And human. I could feel it in my soul. He was a human, like me. He had gotten his wish and he was alive to see it. Damien began to shudder in my arms, agreeing with my statement, and hugged me tightly, crying into my shoulder. Okay. I thanked every deity I knew, every star in the sky. It worked. It really worked. I looked over at Diana to see her form a large gem in her unaffected hand, and slam it into her palm directly over the source of the black veins dancing up her arm. They slowly stopped their ascendant up her arm and began to trickle down into the gem. The jewel that was once pure and clear like a cut diamond became black like an onyx. As the last of the black energy faded from Diana, she toppled over and gripped the gem to her chest, making sure not to land on it.
God damn it all.
Sorry, Diana. I couldn't help but stop the happy laughter that erupted from me at the realization of it all. Everything was okay now. We were all right. Damien lifted his head up and slowly pulled me up to where we were both sitting up, wiping his eyes and smiling from ear to ear and at me in pure happiness. I smiled and leaned in. I can't read. I smiled and leaned in, kissing his nose gently. We did it. Damien nodded and hugged me to him before looking over at Diana, seeing her look up at us with an unamused grimace.
You almost lost your lives. And you're smiling.
Damien and I looked at each other before Damien let out a breath and hugged me to his side.
Humans are always risking their lives. You wouldn't understand.
Oh! I laughed as Damien did. As did Damien, while Diana rolled her eyes and slowly stood up, still gripping the gem in her hands. As we stood, Diana tossed the gem at Damien.
Huh? What is this?
Your weapon against the Demon Lord. That gem holds all of your powers, and is slowly intensifying its power. Break it, and you'll be able to use your powers one last time at full potential.
Hey, so he has a weapon against the Demon Lord. So bye-bye worry and doubts. Now we have nothing to worry. I stared wide-eyed at Diana. Where did this come from? Diana looked back at me and crossed her arms, raising an eyebrow.
You're not the only one who saw Damien's fate in a dream. I would rather not see another person die at the Demon Lord's hands, no matter who it is, and I'd rather not be blamed for it.
So she saw through me. I was stunned. Diana had seen it too. She let out a sigh and began to walk towards the exit of the room, most likely drained from the experience.
We head out in the morning. I will brief everyone of the plan once we get to the Demon Lord's castle.
With that, Diana left us alone. Damien gripped to me and looked down at me, cradling the gem in his hand in amazement. Well, it seems like we're reaching the end, possibly. I don't know. I'm just saying possibly. Maybe this will be the final episode, but we'll see. We'll see if we finish Damien's road in this episode. Video, whatever.
So, we're set.
I nodded happily. Yeah. Norrin! Our private moment was interrupted by the rushing of the Incubi and their wives into the room, most likely being let in by Diana after she left.
Everything good?
Yes, everything's fine and dandy, Norrin. Damien and I looked at each other in shock before nodding to the group, hugging each other lovingly. Yep, just two humans cuddling. The group seemed to be excited at the news, gathering around us and visually checking us for any wounds or bruises. To my surprise as well, there were none, even after the attack from the black flames. Diana really pulled through. Damien, now being crowded, pushed everyone back, pocketing the gem.
We're okay. We're okay.
We still need to check on you, Damien, to make sure.
The brothers are being so nice and checking on their youngest brother. Littlest brother. That's so cute. That's adorable. I giggled and stepped away from Damien, kissing his cheek. I was exhausted and needed to get to bed before I passed out in Damien's arms. The whole ordeal. Let them check you out, Damien. I'll be in the room. Damien stared before nodding, understanding that I needed rest, before surrendering himself to the scanning eyes of his brothers. Oh, the brothers care so much. This is so adorable. I took that moment to wave to the others and sneak out towards my room. I began to head back to my room, ready for what was going to happen tomorrow. Everything would be decided then.
You cruel, selfish bastard!
Oh dear Lord, please tell me she's not talking to Saero. A shout, however, interrupted my journey to my room. I froze in place before turning my head toward a door that was barely open a small crack. It was the door leading to the grand hall, Saero's training room. Why was Diana there, though? And who was she yelling at? I peeked inside to see Diana glaring into the darkness with her arms crossed, tightly over her chest. As I squinted, trying to see what she was glaring at, I silently gasped. Saero, no, please! Don't be mad at him. He only tried to do something for you. Saero was kneeling in the dark before his mistress, his head bowed low in shame. When did he return? More than that, why was he keeping his head down? Was he not successful in his mission?
Where in the 7 planes of hell have you been, Saero?
My lady,
You left the castle with no notification or warning, and you activated your damn holy magic to deny me the right to summon you to my side. How dare you!
If you would let me...
And now you suddenly waltz back into the castle with a smile on your face as if you had gone out and killed the demon lord himself. Explain yourself!
Oh, man. Come on, Saero, you can do this. Staring at Diana, I could see her face burning as red with rage. Her cheeks, however, were glistening as rogue tears ran down them. Saero kept his head down, but continued to plead with Diana.
My lady, I was on a personal quest. I had to retrieve something I believed to be important, and it was incredibly selfish of me to do so. I'm sorry, but I needed to complete this task before we went into battle.
You placed this quest over your duty to me?
Only this once, my lady. It needed to be done immediately, and I greatly apologize for doing so, but I promise my journey bore results.
Do you not realize how worried you made me? I have barely rested these past 3 nights because of you.
I stared at Diana, wide-eyed in shock. She was concerned about him? Saero seemed to be surprised as well, eyes wide and staring at the ground. However, he didn't lift his head, most likely still following a demand previously given to him to keep his head down. So does this mean that he was successful in getting it? Please, Diana, let him talk!
My lady, I'm deeply sorry.
Sorry doesn't make this better. What if you were killed? What if I was killed? You are supposed to be by my side at all times. You broke the vow that you made not only to me, but to my family, that you would stay with me and protect me.
My lady, please!
Enough! I've heard enough!
Let the man talk! God damn it! Diana turned away from Saero, looking to the ground and clenching her eyes shut. More rogue tears ran down from her face as she gritted her teeth. Saero finally lifted his face, shocked to see her back instead of her face.
You are dismissed. You are no longer permitted to be in the same room as me until further notice.
No! No!
My lady.
I said you are dismissed, Saero.
No!
Sayer.
You do not have permission to use my...
Oh my god. All of a sudden, Saero lunged forward and wrapped his arms around Diana's arms and chest, hugging her body to his tightly as she released a tearful gasp of surprise. Saero buried his face in her shoulder as Diana stared wide-eyed at the wall ahead of her. Diana froze in his arms as Saero clutched her body to his, locking it against his chest.
Do not send me away from you. I broke my vow, yes, but I did it for a reason. I cannot bear the thought of being separated from you. Not after what I have discovered.
I stared, feeling my heart clench. It was like watching a romantic drama, where the two leads were either going to break up or confess their love for each other. Oh dear. The air was tense and full of both anticipation and fear. Diana remained frozen in Seto's arms as he lifted his head and gently relaxed his embrace around her.
Saero, I've brought you something.
You... What?
Diana finally began to move, slowly turning around in Seto's arms to look up at him in confusion. Seto frowned, seeing her tearful and red face, and gently brought a hand up to her cheek. He gingerly wiped the tears from Diana's eyes with the back of his fingers before cupping her face. Diana didn't lean in, but she didn't object to it.
I've brought you something very important. It may not seem important to this war, but it's important to me.
My heart caught itself in my throat. Did he? Seto released Diana's cheek before waving his hand between their faces, black and purple mist forming in the air, shifting into something small. As it finally materialized, Diana gasped and I silently echoed at her reaction. Ah, he got the rose! I knew it! I knew it! I knew he was going to do it. I knew it! In the air floated a beautiful golden rose on a dark green thornless stem. It had mostly blossomed, showing its beautiful petals and glowing softly in between Seto and Diana. It slowly turned in the air, showing Diana all of its magnificence.
The golden rose. A symbol and proof of my love for you, Saero. I've wanted to retrieve it for you for the longest time, and now I finally have.
Seero.
I love you so much. You have given my life so much meaning, and I have sworn my life to protecting you. Saero, you are the most precious and the most beautiful woman to ever grace the 5 worlds, and being with you every day fills me with such joy.
Ah, the confessions!
If this is what it takes to prove my love for you, then I will happily give you thousands of golden roses for as long as I have breath. But please, know now that my feelings for you are pure and true.
Ah! I felt like crying as I watched the scene unfold. Diana was stunned, streams of rogue tears once again falling down her cheeks. As she stared at Seto, the rose slowly lowered to float between their chests as if it was patiently waiting for something to happen.
You are my everything. My moon, my stars, my world. Please, Saero, do not send me away from you.
If you can't tell, I'm fangirling internally, okay? This is the best moment.
Seero. You idiot.
Please, please, please let her say that she loves him. Please, please don't leave him hanging, please. Seto let out a soft chuckle as Diana wiped her eyes with a very, very small smile.
Insult me all you like. I deserve it for leaving your side. However, now that I've proven my love to you, I must know the truth. Do you love me?
Please say you love him. If you don't, I will personally come over there and slap some sense into you. Diana looked up at Seto as her smile grew ever so slightly. Something about Diana changed as she looked up at him. Her eyes seemed to be lighter and full of joy. My heart melted at the way they looked at each other. Seto watched Diana with curiosity and Diana gazing at Seto in warm elation. Diana lifted her hand to the rose and gently cupped it underneath its petals, making Seto look down and gasp. In Diana's hands, the rose fully bloomed, revealing its innermost gold, almost white petals. Seto looked back up at Diana, seeing her cry joyful tears and fighting back tears of his own. Does that mean she loves him?
I do, Seero. More than you could ever know. I was just...
Ah, yes! Yes! Thank you! Seto gently shushed her, cupping her cheek gently and wiping the tears away with his thumb. For the first time, at least from what I had seen, Diana nuzzled into his hand, closing her eyes. She looked so innocent and pure with Saero now. Was this the real Diana?
Whatever fear you had, let it go. I swear to never hurt you and to love you until time stands still.
Yay! I stared, teary-eyed, as Seto gently took the rose from between them and placed it in Diana's hair behind her ear. Ah! Diana waited until he finished before reaching up and wrapping her arms around his neck.
I love you too, Seero.
Ah! At last, Seto wrapped his arms around Diana's waist and pulled her close as they both leaned in and finally kissed. It's an actual kiss, not the one where she steals energy. It's an actual, loving kiss. Yes. It was a magical sight to behold. Their love echoed in the kiss, making each other almost glow within the room. I felt my cheeks warm in an uncontrollable blush as I watched. Let's give them some privacy, man. They needed their privacy. Who knew where that kiss was going to go anyway? I smiled, joyful for what had happened between them, before I turned on my heel and began to walk towards my room. I finally returned to our room and flopped onto the bed, letting the events of my time in the abyssal plains replay in my mind. I was trapped here, and soon enough I was about to go marching into battle against the Demon Lord for my freedom. The more I thought about it, the more surreal the feeling became. I was going to be in a room, meeting a powerful adversary face to face, and set myself free of the curse he brought down upon me. As Damien entered the room at last, I smiled and stood, walking over and wrapping my arms around him as he returned my embrace.
Tonight is our last night here.
Yeah. We held each other, locked in silence and unable to say anything more. We had been in a heavy predicament and we worked through it. It was something we did together. All we could do in the moment was hold each other and listen to our synchronized heartbeats. As the thought of tomorrow danced in my head, I began to fear it even more. Was I ready to go into battle? Was Damien? Were any of us for that matter? We were about to walk into the final battle of a world war. Would we survive? Would I live to see Damien afterward and feel his embrace again? Tomorrow brought too many questions to think about, and I became frustrated and scared. Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna make love to Damien. I needed to hold him and treat the night like it was the last night of the world. Tomorrow was unpredictable, but tonight was guaranteed. I wrapped my arms tightly around Damien, burying my hands in his orange hair as he slowly encircled his arms around my waist. Damien pulled me close, knowing exactly what I wanted to do. Damien slowly stepped his back towards the bed and fell forward onto it, pinning me down to the mattress with his body as he claimed my lips with his own. I combed my fingers through his hair lovingly. Each touch of his fingers embedded themselves into my memory as I took his scent, his warmth, his kisses over my skin. I barely felt him slowly ease my legs apart and kneel between them as he danced his tongue against mine. A part of me, however, felt a bit bold. I wrapped my arms and legs around Damien before rolling us over to where I straddled his hips, surprising him. Oh, so we're gonna be top! Okay. I'm okay with this, I guess. I don't know. As he looked up at me in shock, I smirked down at him lovingly. You've worked so hard, Damien. Let me reward you. Damien gulped slightly, taking this new turn of events, before I leaned in and kissed him ever so sweetly, brushing my hands over his chest and feeling his skin beneath my fingers. As he quaked beneath me, I felt a rush of pride run through me. I liked this a bit. I would explore it further, undressing us as slow as possible, and grinding myself against him. His hands, not bound anywhere, caressed over the skin available to him as his eyes became lost in my form. While a mild form of shyness rushed through me, I had to run through with the mood. I wouldn't let myself get out of this swing of heat between us, even as his hands rubbed against every weak spot I had. As it became unbearable to deny ourselves our carnal needs any longer, we ravished each other and finally made love, gripping to each other and letting our moans become lost in each other's mouths and shoulders. Damien's hands combed over my back as I dragged my fingers along his chest, seeing the red welts of my dragging slightly form over his skin. It was erotic to see, but as Damien's hands locked themselves onto my hips and began to guide our rhythm, I became lost in the pleasure within me instead. The bed creaking only became louder the faster and rougher we became. We were uncaring of who was around us or who would hear us. We were dancing through a Europa together and we weren't going to be stopped. It was a perfect ecstasy from beginning to end when Damien wrapped his arms around me and held me close, both of us quaking in our embrace. I could only stare into Damien's gorgeous purple and blue eyes, becoming lost in them as exhaustion began to crawl through me. I love you, Damien. Forever.
I love you too. My life is yours.
We both passed out in each other's arms, lost in our bliss. The world didn't matter until the morning, but even then we knew we'd be all right. tomorrow would decide everything. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna end this here, and I'll do the war. The war is gonna be the last video of Damien's route. So I'm gonna finish everything in the next video, because I just want the war to be a separate thing. So I'll stop there for this episode here, and I'll start up in the next video. I'll probably upload the next video finishing off Damien's route soon. So thank you guys for watching this. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of my videos, then click subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!